It's Tuesday, December 23rd, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, game show home versions. Home versions of game shows. Let's do this. So my subway commute's been getting way crowded lately because the subway's just been kind of shitty for the last few weeks.
Well, in addition to just being slightly shittier than usual, more people are riding the subway because it's cold.
Yep. And also, you only take one subway. I have to take two subways or the E. Also known as the
Tourists.
Yeah, Oh my, Scott. Well, I was about to say, I can complain about tourists because all the tourist bus stops are literally in front of my building, but you are in like tourist ground zero.
The tourist bus stops are also in front of my
I'm also
building.
at tourist ground zero because all the tourists keep coming to see ground zero. So, but as a result, I can't eat the subway I take is so crowded that I can't easily do anything on the subway but listen to podcasts. Unless I don't get any coffee. If I have no coffee in my hand, then I can hold my phone up to my face and I can play Neuroshima Hex. That's about all I can do, but I can't play anyone that requires me to like click around a whole bunch. So I can't play like that fucking Omega whatever. Or the Dancers.
The what?
The Omega, the Doomsday Machine thing. I don't know what any of the factions are called.
I don't know either. Orange, blue, yellow, green, purple, light purple, gray.
So I realized that everyone I talk to who says purple or light purple means different things, so I think a lot of our friends just don't actually know the names of colors.
Light purple's the armored one.
Yes, you're correct. A lot of people.
The other purple's the garbage one.
That other purple will fuck you up. That other purple can consistently beat blue.
I don't know about that.
Let's play. Anyway, I'm playing a lot of Neuroshima Hex because it's either that or podcasts, and I'm all out of podcasts. Dave and Joel don't update fast enough, and I'm not listening to us.
All right, so let's just move to the news because whatever.
Whatever?
Yeah, so I know originally, right, my coworker, like a year or two ago, was watching, right, the Awesome Games Done Quick speedrun thingy.
Oh, yeah. Those are always super fun.
I was just like, what is the deal with that? I don't edit and care, but then I watched it, and then I cared.
The craziest thing about him is how, it's some crazy long game, and yet they're within seconds of each other by the end of the game.
Yeah. So, January 4th, 5th, and 6th, and I don't know, maybe even 7th. Does it keep going? 8th. Wow, it's like a whole week here. 9th.
So there's stuff going on.
10th, and then the finale is on the 11th. That's the only thing on the 11th. Is going to be Awesome Games Done Quick. I guess the whole week of gaming awesomeness. The whole schedule is on gamesdonequick.com/schedule. It's going to be in Virginia on those dates that I just mentioned. It's not really a thing you need to go to in person unless you want to never sleep. But I noticed on the schedule on January 5th at 3:55 a.m. Eastern Time. Oh, no, wait. Wrong one. Where'd it go?
Oh.
It just scrolled off my screen.
Professionalism. This is why we need teleprompters.
Yep.
There
it is. Oh, that's the name. I got confused between the name of the person and the name of the game. My game, A Jam of Olden Days.
Mega Man 2?
Dynamite Headdy.
Oh.
Someone's going to rock Dynamite Headdy, I guess.
Oh.
And looking at the schedule, 3:55 to 4:50, so it'll take them about an hour. That's about right.
I have fond memories.
That game gets ridiculously hard when you get late in the game.
I have fond memories of in RIT of sitting on the couch playing Zelda 2 and you just were playing Dynamite Headdy on an emulator on your computer in the living room.
Dynamite Headdy's good shit.
Dynamite Headdy's a good game.
Anyway.
So it's the only good game on Sega.
No, there's a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of awesome games going to be going down here. I recommend looking at the schedule, marking down the ones you want to see, and then going back later and watching them. I can see a Wario 4 there early in the schedule, like the second game. So, exciting things going down.
Yeah. So, in other news, I don't know when this was changed because I don't actually play competitive Counterstrike that much, and even when I do, I don't pay attention. And I only started playing Counterstrike again recently.
I think it was changed many months ago.
Yes, but it was changed because basically there's a flood of people on the internet, one, making jokes about the silvers, and two, people who don't understand this.
Okay.
Like this guy posted in the Counterstrike forums, he's like, I'm stuck at Silver 1, and I feel like I'm stuck here for a long time, but I've won 39 games, and I have a really good kill-death ratio, so I'm confused why I'm at this level. The first response is a better player who says, and I quote, "You are stuck at Silver 1 because you are a Silver 1 player." Basically, the only people who know about what I'm going to bring up right now are people who have read Richard Garfield's characteristics of games, play chess competitively, or play racquetball competitively.
Or there's a few other, but people who are like super serious into old man competitive type games.
Yes, or people who study the certain kinds of maths in school to where they would
there are
learn
not a
about
large
this.
percentage of people on the earth who know about this topic.
So ELO ratings. Named after Electric Light Orchestra, apparently, according to Google rankings.
It's a guy whose name was Elo.
Yes, and you know what?
was
Electric Light Orchestra has a higher rating on Google search.
They're more important than he was, despite his importance.
Basically, I'm not going to explain how the system works because I only understand it on a superficial level because that's all you need to understand it on unless you're designing a system that uses it.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that it is, people complain about matchmaking systems in games, and most games fuck up their matchmaking systems in a bad way. Like that's Heroes of New Earth was real bad, partly because of the lack of effective matchmaking, among all the other problems.
Also, even if you have the best matchmaking code in the universe, you need a very large player base. You need a large number of simultaneous people online to be able to make matches. If the only people online at this current moment are a noob and the all-time god, guess what?
Yeah, but basically, it's a system to rank players that is objective and quantifiable based on their performance against each other as individuals or as teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that ranking, you can predict the outcome of a game. And whenever the predictions are off, the system basically self-corrects. So if you're predicted to win 76% of the time and you win way more often than that, it starts correcting your rank upward until you win the predicted amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic system. Like every piece of knowledge and study I've ever seen about it.
If you have teams or players who are playing each other, not like on a schedule or in a tournament, right? But in just sort of people are playing each other all the time, and people who do play each other might be of various skill levels, and there's many, many competitors, and you want to be able to rank them without having some sort of structured tournament or anything like that. This is what you use.
So it turns out Counterstrike is using this to provide the player rankings in competitive play.
Well, on the one hand, that's an excellent thing to do because there's lots and lots of games of Counterstrike happening all the time between people of various skill levels, and there's no sort of tournament structure, and you want to be able to rank people from top to bottom. That would be the great thing to use. But as a monkey wrench, because people are on teams, which greatly affects outcomes.
Exactly.
As opposed to where ELO is usually used for things where it's just an individual, like chess.
So what I have linked here, too, is one, I'm going to link you guys to the Wikipedia article because if you care about games enough to listen to this fucking podcast as opposed to other gaming podcasts, you should at least understand the basics of what this system is. And
You'll probably end up knowing more about it than we do.
Yeah. If you read that Wikipedia page from top to bottom, you will know more than we know.
Yeah.
I'm also going to link to a somewhat poorly written, but apparently from skimming it looks accurate, explanation of how it works in Counterstrike.
How they account for you being on a team.
Exactly. It explains
like if I'm on a team with a bunch of pros and we rise to the top, what happens to their rank, what happens to my rank.
Yep. And it seems to use something along the lines of the total number of ELO points of the team, and then it does some shenanigans, and it seems to work pretty well. Like, I don't see too many obvious flaws with the way this is described and the way it's working. So this is an awesome thing, and this is why Valve consistently hits it out of the park and a lot of other people don't. Someone probably had their pet project of fix this system and happened to know some game theory and happened to know some like real games and math stuff. And yeah, this is just super cool. And I feel like I should start playing Counterstrike again competitively because I noticed recently that the few times I did play competitively, everyone really sucked. And when I played casually, everyone was way better. And I think it's because my rank is way low because I haven't been playing competitively. So I should go correct that. Not that I'm any good, but... So, things of the day. Related to my news, this is a video. It is titled, The Beauty of the Silver Ranks. This is from a silver-ranked competitive Counter-Strike game, and it is the best way to
I saw
describe
this
it.
video.
The best way to describe it. Just watch it. Even if you know nothing about Counterstrike, it is obvious what happened, and I dare you to not laugh out loud.
Mhm.
And the other great thing about it is it reminds me of like Little League baseball trick plays.
Yeah, in Little League Baseball, a common thing that will happen is when someone gets a walk, they will run to first base, and then as soon as they get there, just keep running and go all the way to second, which is perfectly legal, even in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but in Major League Baseball,
Major League Baseball, if you did that, you would be out.
Unless you could run. Theoretically, there's a speed you could run where you would not be out.
You
However,
wouldn't be out automatically. You would be out because the other team isn't defensively inept, and they would
exactly.
get you out.
But I'm saying you could theoretically, maybe with cybernetics, have a human who was
But
fast
against a
enough.
Little League team, right, when the pitcher has to now throw the ball to first or second base to try to get you out, the chances of him just throwing it way out into the outfield
are like 98%.
or not throwing it there fast enough or not noticing or whatever is very high, and thus that sort of shit works.
It's like in
So this is the silver ranks. This is basically Counter-Strike Little League, so shit like this works.
this shit is hilarious.
Yeah. All right, so thing of the day. Seeing as it is holiday season, many nerdy people are giving away holiday gifts and cheer, especially in the not enough mentioned on this podcast tabletop RPG arena.
Nah.
So, ending the day you listen to this podcast, maybe it might be too late to cash in on this one by the time you hear this. But good friend Epediah Ravachal, I don't know how to pronounce his last name properly. Yeah, whatever. He is offering a deal known as Epimas. And in Epimas, you can get over 30 games, including some Epimas debuts and exclusives, and they're in the form of many, many bundles, each of which bundle is $10, right? Each $10 bundle has between $20 and $30 worth of PDFs of tabletop RPG goodness.
Ooh.
But if you buy multiple bundles, the discounts, they increase. And I think there are 9 bundles total, maybe? And if you buy all of them, it's $45, but each one is already like $30 worth of stuff for $10. So it's just like this ridiculous deal where you get enough tabletop RPG PDFs to occupy you for the rest of your life for about $40. And if you missed out on it, I'm sure maybe he'll let you have it still.
Well, I mean, we tweeted about it yesterday, so
maybe you should follow us on Twitter. Other news in tabletop RPGness for absolutely $0. It is now Torchbearer Moss as well.
Oh, Torchbearer.
And for this day, well, no, the day before you listen to this today,
They might have figured out when we recorded this episode.
and a couple days after that, 4 days of gifts, free gifts to show their appreciation for those of you who play Torchbearer.
Can I just have some armor that's like not heavy and carries stuff for me?
They will release beta versions of 2 Torchbearer character classes that provide you with level benefits through level 10. So far, they have the Dwarf Adventurer and the Human Cleric.
Yeah, Cleric. I'm all about the Cleric.
Who at level 10 can, among other things, replace one of his natures, any one he chooses, with either praying, fighting, or converting, which are ridiculously powerful natures that apply to almost any situation. So, yeah, good luck getting to level 10. If you aren't already playing Torchbearer, you should play some Torchbearer.
Yes, you should.
Which isn't free, but these class beta thingies are free, so you should check them out. It's tabletop RPG season. You're going to be sitting at home, not at work. You got time. You're with people. It is tabletop RPG season.
We should play some Torchbearer over the New Year's weekend, I think.
That is doable.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll go into the kitchen room around the corner with just people who already know how to play. Just sit down and fucking play.
That is doable.
That's happenable.
Bring a dice.
In the meta moment, the booklet book is Watership Down. It's about awesome rabbits on an adventure, and it's a great book, and you should read it.
Adventure time.
Yeah. Also, you can stop fucking bothering me about it. We uploaded a new Utena episode 13. I think it's our longest episode of Geeknights Presents Utena to date.
It's longer than the Utena episode.
And they're only going to get longer as the season goes on.
The next one's probably going to be mad long.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so Utena's a great anime, and you should watch the anime and then watch our thing because we literally spoil everything per episode.
It's meant for people who already seen it.
Yes, if you haven't already seen an episode of Utena and you watch our thing, not only will we spoil everything, but you won't even understand what the fuck we're talking about.
No, you definitely won't.
Yeah.
This is the last episode before holiday times in the United States of America, so there probably won't be any more.
America. No one's going to get that reference.
There probably won't be any new episodes
If
of
anyone
Geeknights.
understands America as a reference, I might just buy you a copy of the thing that's referencing. Because seriously, if it's even in print.
The next episode of Geeknights might be in 2015?
Might be.
I don't know.
But some more videos going to come out in the meantime. I have a queue of video I got to get up.
There might be some more Geeknights in 2014, but I don't know.
And also, very important, ConnectiCon, the convention that we actually run the panels department for. Like, it's an awesome convention. It is the Dragon Con of the East. Like, I'm not even joking.
Dragon Con is in the East.
It's in the Southeast.
That's still East.
That's the South, not the East.
I guess it's not in the Far East.
It's in Connecticut, if you couldn't guess.
Yes.
It's an awesome con. It's one of the very, very, very few conventions we would go to, even if we weren't staff or guests. Like, I wouldn't fly across the country to go to ConnectiCon, but I would drive 5 to 7 hours to go to ConnectiCon.
Oh, yeah.
Like, easily.
If you're a nerd within driving distance of Hartford, Connecticut, that's where you should be on that weekend, unless you're on a beach far away on vacation because it's the summer.
Yes.
That's the only real excuse.
Or if a PAX was scheduled that same weekend,
no,
in which case...
San Diego Comic-Con's usually the same weekend, but you should go to ConnectiCon instead because San Diego Comic-Con doesn't really have the gaming that ConnectiCon has.
But I bring it up because panel submissions for next year, July, are open, and we're scheduling panels on a rolling basis, meaning I'm just going to schedule stuff as I feel like it, and as soon as I decide a panel's at a time, it appears in the schedule.
It might get moved before ConnectiCon.
Yep, and you know what? You can deal with that.
It might even get canceled if the person, like, we find out that they're a horrible person or who knows what.
Yep.
There are many things that can happen, but we will put together the schedule in sort of real time, and you will be able to see it evolve over real time.
Now, what's cool is that most nerd conventions don't do this, and the reasons they give are reasons that I used to give. One, people whose panels suck wonder why they didn't get accepted for a long time, but yet all these other panels got accepted and causes drama.
That's just tough shit.
Two, they don't actually make the schedule until like a couple weeks before the con. Most cons we go to. Three, they don't have the technology to make that happen. So this is kind of an unprecedented thing for a like moderately to large-sized fan convention to let you see live the panel like acceptance scheduling process. There is exactly one.
It's really good that we're doing this because the key benefit, is that people who are making the decision to go to ConnectiCon well in advance, as they should, have much more information with which to make that decision. They can say, aha, that thing that I want to see is going to be at ConnectiCon, very likely. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but very likely it's on the schedule. That makes me want to go to it. Whereas if it's just empty schedule, you're going to a convention.
Yep. And right now, there is exactly one panel in the schedule. So they're batting 1,000. Losing Games is in panel 3 at 2 p.m. It's run by Rim.
Subject to change.
Yep. I put it there mostly so I could test that all the emails and everything went out and everything.
Cancel that
good.
now.
No, it's a good panel. I'm sticking it in. I think it's a good panel.
You sure that time's going to work?
Probably. I mean, I'm the one who decides if the times work or not. It's not like...
What if a guest just has to be in panel 3?
If 9 guests all need panels at 2 o'clock on Saturday...
That's a good time.
It is a good time. It's a really good time because I heard that guy's pretty good. Yeah, so I'm going to be scheduling stuff, and as will the other people who schedule panels. It's not just me and Scott. There's other people on our staff. But yeah, ConnectiCon, submit your panels sooner rather than later, because if you send an awesome panel in, like a few months before the con, probably already scheduled most of the schedule by that point. Mm-hmm. The odds of me dislodging something for you drop the longer you wait.
All right, so...
a game came out. I figure we should start specific and then go general instead of the other way around. But a long time ago, in the heady year of 1993 in October...
You're starting way later than I started.
Super Nintendo, the console...
I had some for regular Nintendo.
Oh, those exist, but this is the one I know the most about. a game called Family Feud was released on a cartridge. You can buy it right now for 88 cents on Amazon, it looks like.
Or just download the ROM.
Or you can go, wow, there is an unopened copy for sale for $30.
Why would you do with that?
Who has that? Why? Anyway.
What would you do with that?
So we got this idea that we haven't really talked about. Like, we've talked about game shows. We've talked about party games. We haven't actually talked about game shows adapted to the home version.
Right, so game shows are a very interesting thing. There's a whole nerdery about game shows. A lot of people are into them. I enjoy them from time to time. There's a long history of them. There's a whole lot going on there in the game show department.
Yeah,
right?
I'll link to the episode where we talked about that.
And even though game shows have, waxed and waned over the years, Jeopardy is still on. Wheel of Fortune is still on every night in this sort of relatively prime time slot where
meanwhile, Monopoly
family watches TV during dinner.
Monopoly, the game show, didn't make it. MONO.
There's a lot of
POLY.
There's a lot of reality in quotes shows which are actually just game shows in disguise.
Yep.
Millionaires popular, right? These are big things. So, especially in the 80s and 90s, even now, but more so then, having home editions of game shows was sort of a big deal, right? And it was not just video games, but also physical games. There was a home Double Dare. I shit you not. I knew a kid who had home Double Dare. You can go and find it if you Google it. It existed.
I mean, I had a home Wheel of Fortune from like an era where this game had a really, really complicated physical mechanism for making the Wheel of Fortune board work.
My cousins had a home Jeopardy that actually had a big Jeopardy board. You'd slide cards into it and flip open the little windows to see the thing.
You'd slide a big card into the Wheel of Fortune thing. It also had the spinner and all those other pieces. Mm-hmm. But then every slot where there could be a letter had like an open hole, and there'd be an underline there showing you like there is a letter here for this puzzle. And it had this like really hard to move, like heavy door you'd like slide and click up to reveal things.
Yeah, I mean, because, a game show is just fundamentally a television show where people are playing a game.
Exactly.
And you want to see who wins, right? There's a lot more closer relationship with like esports, than there is, with physical sports.
Right?
They're
T-sports.
What's the difference between, Jeopardy and Counterstrike on TV? Well, one is based on clicking, and one is based on knowledge.
Well, what's the difference between Jeopardy and, say, football?
One is based on punching, and one is based on knowledge.
Oh my God, they're all games.
Yeah.
Games.
It's a game show.
But game shows, very specifically, have a heavy overlap with either professional sports in the sense that they're made not for the people playing, but for the people watching.
Right.
Game shows are often not actually fun to be on. They're fun to watch other people be on.
Well, the other thing, they're designed for the spectator first, right? And then for the participant second.
I mean, case in point,
most of the excitement for the participant comes from the prize winning.
Exactly. No one is playing most game shows unless there's cash money.
Right. And the reason for the prize winning is because it's not like the difference between this and say sports is there isn't like a consistent like players and teams to root for. I mean, someone might keep winning on Jeopardy and gain a following, but usually when you're on a game show, you're on there for a limited time and then you're done. So it's like you're just an individual human being who's just some contestant, and that's it. But so the prizes are the reward. There isn't like a grand championship to win or, some trophy or, tournament at
You're
the
not
end
the
of every
league
year.
master at Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, there's no playoffs of Wheel of Fortune at the end of the year where you can win.
Well, they do stuff like that, actually.
Or whatever
they do have like the Masters Series, whatever, in a lot of these games.
Yeah, no, but there isn't like the Super Bowl every single year at the same time.
Yeah,
things
but
like that.
This is thus why game shows adapted as home editions are an interesting game design challenge, because you have a game that, one, is designed primarily for spectation, designed to last a predictable amount of time no matter what, designed to be able to have a lot of stuff happen off screen to fix issues that you don't show to the spectators, and the players have no capacity to master the game or to find degenerate strategies in the game. Usually they film a whole season of a game show. Like, kids would watch Legend of the Hidden Temple and think, oh, I could fucking do that.
It's like, no, they had literally like 10 shows worth of kids in there at once.
Yep.
And it would be like the water part. It's like they would do the water part like 10 times. Then they would do the basketball thing like 5 times.
Yep.
Then they do the other thing. And then they did the temple like 10 times in a row.
So imagine watching a Counter-Strike tournament where Counter-Strike existed people who had never seen it before played it live once and then could never play it again.
Mm-hmm.
So designing games around game shows is a really interesting challenge, like I said. And unlike most of our shows about these kinds of general topics, can't really make a wide pronouncement about whether or not they're good or bad. Like, it's a really mixed bag.
Some of them are great and some of them are awful. Even with the same exact game show, right? There's a huge variance in quality of the product, whether it's video or tabletop.
Yup. So I had this old PC version of Concentration way back. And it was like floppy disks, and you'd load it, and it was like all these like CGA graphics. It was this really, really terrible old piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, me and my brother had a ton of fun playing it because it would save to the floppy. It would remember how much prize money you had won. So we had a long-running tournament, even though it got to the point where we actually had memorized everything that was in the game, which is a common problem with pretty much all these things.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing is that some shows definitely do translate better than others, right? It's like my favorite game show is The Price is Right.
Yup.
Home edition of Price is Right, I'm sure it exists somewhere. I've never played one, video or otherwise. Has to be garbage. It just has to be. All the fun of watching The Price is Right is you're yelling out the prices and shit, and you're telling the people what they're supposed to do.
The person flipping out, the crowd going crazy.
And the fact that you're guessing prices of things, which changes with the real world, right? So if I'm playing a Price is Right take-home edition, that's pretty much only good the year it came out.
Unless
you're guessing what was the price of shampoo in 1983.
So what's funny is I have a better sense of what prices were in the early 90s than I do of what things cost today. If you ask me how much shampoo costs, I'm not really sure.
$2?
Two? No, it's like $6.50.
Depends
$7?
on how good the shampoo
for like
is.
Tresemme, I don't know, like $7-8. I have no idea.
I don't know.
But I can tell you that if a bottle of shampoo was on The Price is Right when I was a kid, I would bid $3.95.
Sure.
But at the same time, like a game that Scott and I play way more often than you'd think is Family Feud on the Super Nintendo.
So Family Feud also has the timeliness problem, at least with some of the categories.
Yes,
right?
But at the same time, that makes it almost more interesting because if you play Family Feud on the Super Nintendo, you're trying to figure out what 100 sanitized answers were to a question where you have a very limited amount of memory on a cartridge and limited ability to, for example, if there's a lot of ways to say an answer, they had to hard code a big list of strings that they could match on.
So that's something that happens in both the Jeopardy for both like all video Jeopardies and all video Family Feuds have this same exact issue where you typing in answers in text, and if the computer system that's running the game is not sufficiently advanced, it's not very good at sort of subjectively, examining your answers the way humans could do. Like, if you're playing Family Feud for real, they have judges there who run the show who are like, yeah, that counts as number 3. Ding.
So here's an example. What if a question was like, I don't know, something you give to someone to signify your love for them? Should I type in wedding ring or just ring?
Yeah, and if that was a modern-day computer with some Google-level technology or even less than that, it can figure it out.
Yeah. And on
but
a game
if
show,
you're doing this on an NES, good luck.
Which, again, makes it fun because Scott and I will both know the answer and are trying to furiously type them in by moving a cursor around with a Super Nintendo controller, guessing at what some schmuck developing this thing in 1993.
What list of strings they typed in.
In 1993.
And if you get a spelling error, you're wrong. Try again. So if you don't know how to spell the word, good luck.
Yep. But at the same time, that Family Feud game is stupid fun as a result, even though it's kind of random. It gives kind of the same fun as that horse racing game that we always talk about as an example of like a bullshit random game that's still really fun.
Yeah. Wheel of Fortune actually happens to be an excellent take-home video game, especially the video game, because there is no ambiguity whatsoever. You spin a wheel, which a video game is really great at.
Yep.
It figures out how much money stuff is. You choose the one letter at a time. You don't have to type in a whole bunch of stuff until you solve the puzzle, in which case you're literally putting letters in the slots.
Naggers.
You're either right or you're wrong. Right? There's no subjectiveness to it. It's very easy for a computer to do. So a lot of the take-home Wheel of Fortunes, especially the video game versions, are really good and just as fun as the real thing, only some of the phrases might be outdated.
Yep. Now the board game
And once
version,
you learn, there's only so many phrases like hard coded into these games. So once you know all the phrases, like the same thing with the Family Feud, it's all hard coded in. Like there's a database of polls in there. So if you've memorized all of them, same thing. I had Junior Jeopardy for the NES. That really did not have a lot of questions. So once you memorize the answers to all of them, you could pretty well dominate. The thing was, it didn't give you the answers necessarily. I guess I'm not sure it did or didn't, actually. It's been so long since I played it.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like at least the SNES Family Feud has enough stuff in it to where unless one of us like really works at it,
I have yet to see a repeat on there.
or takes the ROM apart and like starts looking for strings,
or goes in GameFAQs and prints them out.
But like the mechanical physical Wheel of Fortune I had also worked great. Like it worked perfectly. It was 100% great to play as a game, except there's only a limited number of those giant pieces of cardboard, and a certain brother could just go read them all and know all the answers, like when you play Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, good luck memorizing huge decks of Trivial Pursuit cards.
Yep.
Though.
That's actually at the one time in recent memory I was forced to play a game of Trivial Pursuit. It was an edition from like decades ago. So I knew more than fucking everybody because I'm the only person who knows politics from the 80s, apparently.
Right.
So, yeah. But anyway. So, in terms of games like Double Dare, the physical component, like Double Dare is a really shitty game. I mean, it's a dumb trivia question that only stupid kids couldn't answer. You never wanted to take the physical challenge unless you were sure that the other side was really stupid. You get the most points that way. And a home version of that would actually probably suck because it's probably it probably had a bunch of like a little thing to make some slime and like a little Nerf gun kind of thing and some balls.
I think it had the thing where like you wear a basket on your head and they throw balls at you and you have to catch them.
So it's the same physical
that kind of bullshit,
The only reason any kid ever wanted to be on Double Dare was one, because just being on TV was like the most cool thing you could do as a kid in the late 80s in the world culturally.
Yep.
2, cash prizes or like a Game Gear or whatever. And 3, because
obstacle course.
Yes, if you got to the obstacle course, I didn't even want to win. I just wanted to be on the show so I could play in that giant obstacle course.
Well, they also had Family Double Dare. It's like, my parents answer the trivia questions.
And then I'll run through the giant gumball machine.
And they'll also get all messy. And then the third, they had Super Sloppy Double Dare, which I don't remember very well, obviously, but I don't remember Super Sloppy Double Dare being any super or sloppier than any other Double Dare.
Yeah.
I think they just called it that.
So, if I was going to make a Double Dare Home Edition, the way I would do it, actually, when I think about it, the problem is the trivia part is 90% of the game. So you'd have to change the score structure around some way, but you could do the physical challenges like this. It's horse in the real world. So you know the game of horse, basketball game?
Yep.
So I do something, you have to do the same thing I did. So the physical challenge is, I'm going to do something, whatever that is.
So a completely different game that's nothing to do with Double Dare.
Well, no, it's a physical challenge, because how do you generate physical challenges with a board game box?
They include the list of physical challenges and the necessary equipment on a piece of paper and charge you money for it.
So how much equipment can you possibly fit in that box?
Go look it up and you'll see what's in there.
I think it's just really lame, probably.
It's pretty lame, yeah. Just look for Double Dare Take Home.
I typed Double Dare box, and it was like Double Dare box wine?
No.
Double Dare box shot for the NES.
What?
Wow.
Oh no, that's the box of the NES Take Home video game.
Do you dare? Can you handle the pressure? Do you know the answer? Do you dare the other team?
That I played that once. Basically it's just trivia questions, which are multiple choice, and the physical challenges and obstacle course are little mini games that kind of sucked.
The mini games look a lot like the mini games in the Three Stooges game.
Yeah, see that Jeopardy Junior edition?
Yeah.
I had that cartridge. All right. Are there any other take-home game? Oh, so actually, one thing I do want to talk about is things that are video games or take-home games that are like game shows, but never were actually game shows. The most prominent of which is You Don't Know Jack, which is basically a game show, but it was never on TV. It was just a video game.
Yep.
And You Don't Know Jack can actually be kind of fun in the right scenario. If people don't know how You Don't Know Jack works, it's basically you sit around, a computer, TV screen, or whatever, and it sort of does these like real-time challenges where like you're sort of answering questions or doing other sort of games, and there's a lot of push the button first kind of stuff and things like that. And it's actually, when it came out, it was incredibly clever, and nowadays it seems a little bit silly.
No.
But it's had some resurgences over the years. So if you've got, like some kind of family thing going on, and your family can't exactly play Counterstrike, this is not a bad choice compared to other games
But then
that
again,
might be available.
this is sort of the rub. Take-home games, like the home edition of any game show, is almost guaranteed to fail unless you're really clever or the game is trivially adaptable like Wheel of Fortune is. Because if you deviate from what happens on TV at all, the family who sits down to play is going to be like, what? This is bullshit.
Right, so that's part of the advantage of it, is like the family already knows how to play.
So you can't change anything.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you don't change anything, the game's not designed to be played by people who play it more than once, nor is it designed to be played in a setting that doesn't have judges and officiants and extra content and all these outside forces, and it's aimed only for spectators.
It's a good thing most of them are just trivia.
Yes.
Because anyone can just knows how to answer trivia questions. Like win, lose, or draw at Pictionary, you're basically the same goddamn thing.
Now, the real thing to take away from the design of like the take-home editions of these kinds of games is that really, in this age of Twitch, these kinds of games are actually great for like Twitch kind of live streaming play.
Yep.
Because very few people play. Most people are just watching. So,
But they're designed for spectating.
Exactly. So as a result, these games are probably better for that sort of thing than like Counter-Strike for the average person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you're home with your family, this holiday times,
Play Torchbearer.
yeah, if you want to get a game going on and you're reaching to the bottom of the barrel, they don't even want to play Hanabi
Yeah.
because they're so lame. The game show game might work. It might open the door. Don't knock. Ow, I hit myself in the teeth with the microphone.
Wow, and for once it wasn't me like bumping into the boom. That was all you.
Yeah, so consider them.
Well, especially the thing is, I would say this, skip the ones that are just trivia questions because those always fail if anyone knows shit about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone gets mad. You're better off going with the ones that are straight party games or where it's like the answers are like Family Feud is probably the best possible game to play of those kinds of games. Maybe Wheel of Fortune's a good second. Jeopardy, probably not actually going to work with the average family.
Junior edition.
Yeah. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.